we gather to celebrate the 20-year anniversary of the establishment of the E. David Fischman Scholarship.
A story. You are about public service. Let's go back, ancient history, about 6-7 years ago, 3 o'clock in the morning at the White House. And I'm with an Israeli delegation, meeting with the staff of President Obama, and we are discussing the peace process, and guess what? We're not agreeing about anything. About 4 o'clock in the morning, we look across the table and we realize something. We realize something that for all of our differences, at the end of the day, those of us around the table have more in common with one another than we do collectively. We are people of service. And that's what this fellowship is about. It's about training people to serve. It's about training people not just with the tools of law or economics or diplomacy, but training you with the moral and ethical wherewithal to sit around that table at 2 o'clock in the morning and disagree about issues that affect the lives of countless of millions of people. That at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about your countrymen. It's about your families now and 5 generations from now. It's about the planet.
Outside, we must stay as strong as we ever were, and we should maintain our strength forever. But at the very same time, we must also stay right. It's not enough to stay the strongest one. We also have to be right. I believe we are right in terms of historical aspects. I think we should play it right on the political and all different arenas as well.
Edward David Fischman thought that he could transform Israeli intellectual and civic life in a profound way through gifting to talented individuals the opportunity to study in American institutions with the responsibility of going back to Israel and contributing to that society.
One of the main avenues in order to improve society and make a better society here is, of course, through education. And through these scholarships, we train and bring back those who can really affect and have an impact on the Israeli society.
What this fund does is to invest in Israel, because Israel is what we are. We are here because we are Zionists.
To be at Harvard and then to go back to the civil service in Israel means to make an influence, to make a difference, to be more precise, to be more accurate.
It was so hard. It was so demanding that after Harvard, I can definitely feel I can do anything.
This extraordinary thing he did with the E. David Fischman Scholarship literally made sure that his legacy as a human being, but as a Jew as well, is maintained and is alive even today, years after he's not with us, unfortunately.
We honor the legacy of Edward Fischman with this conference. To Bill Krushnabel and to the trust which Ed established, we salute you for your management and commitment to honor the intention of Mr. Fischman in each and every part of his gift. For Edward, Israel represented the necessary response to a world that was more than willing to attempt to erase the presence of the Jews. And to Edward, serious academic research and learning represented the means by which a world in disarray, or as he understood it, might indeed be righted.
I was invited to become part of a United Nations effort to help countries in their economic development. We find this critical mass of evidence that it is precisely the regions that understand that we have to encourage openness, we encourage foreigners to come in and to exchange. We encourage collaboration. Those are the countries that benefit and experience the most growth and the most breakthroughs in sciences and arts. So what is the legend of Babel? It's humans became so progressive and so strong that they all collaborated and wanted to reach the heavens. Greatest punishment was that suddenly they couldn't speak to each other. And so for the 21st century, I want to urge us to remember this legend and to remember these insights, these very, very ancient insights. And looking forward, if we want to think about curing diseases with drugs that we thought you couldn't exist, or printing limbs on 3D printers, we really need to remember that we have to have balance and that we have to have a great public domain of common knowledge and exchanges.
We're trying to advance various legal proceedings and political actions against Israel and against Israeli officials. Looking inside, we provide legal advice to the IDF. What really concerns me is that we need to ensure that in our efforts to contend this challenge, we don't neglect our duty, our commitment to the rule of law within the within the IDF ranks. The idea that we're serving a greater idea, the state of Israel, that gives us the motivation to wake up every day, to defend Israel outside, and also to defend our character inside. I think this gives us the motivation, and by doing this, we also maintain the character of the state of Israel, both for us and for future generations.
The state has a long history of using legal tools in order to decide for us whom to love and how to love. For example, it took almost until the 70s for blacks to be allowed to love whites and for whites to love them back. In Israel, for example, a Cohen cannot marry a divorcee, and a widow who has buried two husbands is called a lethal woman, Isha Katlanit. And according to the halachically based Israeli law, she is no longer permitted to love again because she's a hazard to men.
Formally, we are 7.4 billion people. What I would like you to put in mind is that actually almost everything that happened in the last century is because of this figure. From world wars to this very, very nice technology we all have in hands. We are going to probably to be the only nation that is going to triple its population in the 21st century, with everything that it comes with it. In 2016, it's a landmark in that, let's say, timetable, in which for the first time, the largest Jewish community resides in Israel, and we are starting a new epoch in Jewish history that is going to shape almost everything, from halacha to identity.
It is so moving, and as someone who knew Ed Fischman and was involved with when he was conceptualizing what it was that he wanted to have happen with his Yerusha, it's beautiful to see the kind of impact that he has had on Israeli society and that the scholarship will continue to provide.
When I entered the United Nations with my team, you see the flags of many, many countries outside. You see 15 flags with a crescent on them. You see 25 flags with a cross on them. And you see only one flag with a Star of David. We have to make sure every day that this Star of David flies tall and proud in the family of nations, because we have nothing to be ashamed of.
So 2025, as you know, driverless car, you know the robot will replace the human driver. I want you to give me at least 20 professions that are going to vanish in like 48 hours after the robot replaces the human driver. Just imagine, how can you educate someone and prepare him for life that you know the almost 7 out of 10 people, 7 out of 10 students will have to invent their job. And this is the question that you have to ask yourself and your managers and employees. When was the last time you were an independent thinker? And when was the last time you were a little bit crazy? Because this is part of the X factor of creativity. You are all so educated, self-motivated, rational, ambitious, and you know what will make the difference? The ones who will be a little bit crazier.
I want to thank the organization of this event. I think it's very important for the alumni to have a sense of community in order to continue the mission that the fund and the scholarships has granted us.
I think it's an important event, and because it's the first time we see all the scholars together.
We are a group of very strong people, very opinionated people, educated people, and I think that we should see the goal in front of us and strive for that goal.
Really make big contribution to the Israeli society.
The Fischman alumni community is a really special community, and I'm proud to be part of that.
I went to the Harvard Kennedy School. In the spirit of the Kennedy School, our motto is ask what you can do. And I think as Fischman scholars, we need to ask what we can do.
And now knowing all those other people and having this network of people and we can do things together, it's just an incredible opportunity.
For a better world, hopefully, but definitely for better Israel.